So a few weeks ago, I was giving WB some incredibly good advice about what to do with the debut Joker trailer for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. First of all, before this even gets started, know this. He's free. Okay, we're not charging anyone for this. Funny enough, the Joker's trailer dropped this week, and here's how it starts.
Retrieve the Joker.
To the hunt! Evil.
And I think we all saw the problem there. You can't put an asterisk on free. Just say season 1 content update. No one's going to think that costs money, but here with an asterisk, I don't know. Look, I know this is free. But I'm kind of thinking this costs money. Playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth still. Working my way through it. And one thing I'm thinking about a lot as I play this game. Firstly, this is astounding. It's an astounding video game. Secondly, I do wonder though, is it significant? Is this game making an impact? Because here's the thing, I wonder if like as adults, it's just harder for us to truly appreciate how good a thing is. And what I'm really wondering is if the teenagers of today, 25 years from now, will be crying about how video games aren't like this one is anymore. I know that, look, I haven't finished the game yet. We're still not talking about it. But I find that I basically talk about the loose concept of significance almost every week. Here's an example. So Stephen Totilo has a Substack newsletter called GameFile, and he posted an interview titled, Interview, the $2 billion success of Monopoly Go, the world's hottest phone game. And that doesn't register as interesting to me. The world's hottest phone game should be significant, but because I've never heard of it before, I don't care. Now, GameSpot runs a headline based off of that interview. Monopoly Go devs spent more on marketing than it cost to develop The Last of Us 2. And I think, whoa, wait, what? All right, I'll click. Here they point out, to put the $500 million marketing budget in perspective, a poorly redacted document last year leaked a set of budgets for some of PlayStation's biggest AAA titles, which revealed that The Last of Us Part 2 cost $220 million to develop, and Horizon Forbidden West cost $212 million to develop. So you hear that, and you just kind of become confused and angry about it. So, all right, well, firstly, it's probably worth bringing up that in June of last year, just 2 months after the initial release of Monopoly Go, developer Scopely was purchased by Savvy Games Group, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Saudi Arabia's public investment fund. So effectively, they're owned by the government of Saudi Arabia. And so, if that marketing spending sounded reckless, it tracks. What's funny is the GameFile article ends with some Scopely notes, and the second one is, in bold, the publisher's new-ish Saudi-backed owners Savvy Games have been hands-off. So don't worry about that part. Secondly, just last week, we were talking about $500 million in reference to the reported worth of Saber Interactive, and that seemed huge. Today, that's just the marketing spend of Monopoly Go. And then so Scopely is worth $4.9 billion. And hey, to be fair, if Monopoly Go just made $2 billion in 1 year, yeah, it seems worth it to buy them for $4.9 billion. But who is Scopely? They put out a lot of games. They own Stumble Guys. And you're saying, hold on a second. Stumble Guys? That sounds like a knockoff of Fall Guys. And it is. It is. But Stumble Guys is also insanely popular. You didn't know? You should know by now. Stumble Guys is huge.
Download Stumble Guys right now. I gotta hurry across the finish line.
Look at this t-shirt. This sold out on Walmart.com. They even have Stumble Guys toys.
Create your own race with the included map.
It's like the kids said, wait, how do we play the game? And the director said, I don't know. Just mash the toys together and smile.
Create your own race.
So when I see things like this, it happens a lot. This thing's insanely popular. It looks stupid to you, Kyle, but people love this thing. I truly wonder how serious it is. So here's what Stephen Totilo says is nice about this game. Scopely has tuned the game's algorithms to provide frequent feelings that you as a player just got incredibly lucky. You might be playing at a level where you can only hold 80 dice to roll before waiting several hours or paying to roll more. But in moments like that, I've suddenly filled one of the game's many progress meters and unlocked hundreds more dice that I'm eligible to roll. In more ridiculous moments, I've been able to roll 200 or even 500 dice at a time, resulting in gargantuan winnings. Do people really love it? Is it actually good? Or is it simply the thing that is being presented to them and they're going to forget about it next year? I was reminded of something that I barely remembered remembering. It was an article from apparently 2015. A film's popularity depends on how many references are made to it in future movies, according to a new study. And honestly, I have no recollection of where I first heard of that in the first place. I'm not a frequent independent reader. Probably just saw this reference somewhere else. The basic premise of the study was simply that a movie referencing another movie makes the original movie much more likely to become culturally significant. So for example, if a Ninja Turtle says this,
"Here's looking at you, kid,"
that makes Casablanca more popular. Another example, if a Ninja Turtle says this,
"Wow, a Legorama."
Yeah, I'll say.
Hey, I'm allowed. I'm on vacation.
Right. Oh. Absolutely. Shwing.
that makes Wayne's World more popular. Anyway, you're still thinking about the article. You're thinking, hold on a second. What is the metric for importance? So for this study, they just looked at all of the movies that were in the U.S. National Film Registry of the U.S. Library of Congress at the time. In 2015, it was 625. Today, it's 825. But the way that's determined is that there's this U.S. National Film Preservation Board. And so that's a group of experts who every year allow up to 25 films that are culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant onto the list. Basically, they are determining the long-term value of a movie. And so back to the study, what they found was box office success was not a clear indicator of what gets added to that list. Reviews at the time is not a clear indicator of what got added to the list. What they did find, for some reason, is that if a movie is eventually referenced in another movie in the future, it has a way higher chance of getting added to that list. And to be clear and fair to the study, it's not always just like directly a line that is stated in another movie. It can also be nods and clear influences.
I like Shrek.
But the reason I would even bring up that today in this video is that I do think that it's something I think about. Significance is something I think about a lot when I choose like what to be dismissive of. And with Monopoly Go and its popularity, honestly, I don't think it is popular because of its unique game mechanics. I don't think it's popular because the old guy with a mustache is insanely good IP. I don't think it's because they built one of the top casual studios maybe in the world. I think maybe, here's my take, maybe that game is insanely popular because of its insane marketing budget. But let's look at some games that are maybe more in my wheelhouse, the type I'm used to talking about. This Friday of this week sees the release of 3 heavy hitters. Talking about Dragon's Dogma 2, Rise of the Ronin, and Princess Peach Showtime. All in one day. Now, to rank the significance of these 3 titles would be pretty easy. Go ahead and do this at home with me. 1. Dragon's Dogma 2. 2. Princess Peach Showtime. 3. Rise of the Ronin. Like, that seems obvious, right? I bet 90% of the people watching this video have the exact same rankings. That just seems like what the truth is. And then what I'm thinking about this week is how, like, we won't actually know the truth of what was more significant until years have passed. And so, yeah, I know like the Library of Congress doesn't actually matter. I know one media study from 2015 doesn't actually matter. What I'm just saying this week is I find this idea nice. I like the idea that the generations of today do in fact determine what is popular, but only the future generations can determine what was important. So if in 25 years there's some holographic YouTuber out there crying about how they don't make games like Monopoly Go anymore, so be it. It's not my place to decide. And quickly here, just another thing I'm thinking about, obviously, with the passing of Akira Toriyama, right? It's not like the body of work is the value of the human, right? But that body of work is, you can look at it with its unmeasurable influence, see that is absolute significance. Hands down, undisputed. Greatest of all time. Best in the biz. And that's delayed input for this week. Thanks for watching. That makes Wayne's World more popular. Side fact about that. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 came out in 1993. Saw it in the theaters. I'm 7 years old. And I remember this. Schwing got a laugh, right? And I didn't get it until I'm a teenager, years later, watching Wayne's World, and they say Schwing. And at that time, my mind opened up the bookmark to the page of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, and I'm forced to realize, wait, hold on a second. So the Turtles were staring at April O'Neil and joking about getting little turtle erections. What the fuck?